All right, welcome back to the channel, everybody. If you are a first-time viewer, thanks so much for stopping by. I hope that you learned something. And if you are a returning viewer, I truly appreciate your continued support. Now, this week I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm actually sharing the video of my live television studio appearance where I had the opportunity to talk about my new book. It is possible how I earned 2 debt-free degrees and how you can too. I actually was invited to come on a TV show called Club 36, which is based out of Augusta, Georgia. It's a ministry-based network that has live shows every day, and I was a part of that, and it was an exciting opportunity for me, and I just wanted to share that with you guys. I have it edited for you guys to see. And basically on the show, I talk about the student loan debt crisis. I talk about how you can avoid debt as a student and graduate debt-free. We talk about alternatives to college. We talk about how to pay for college, how to save for college, everything that you need to know to graduate with a degree instead of bills for debt. So here it is. Check it out. I hope you enjoy it.
All right, I'm sorry, we've had some problems today, I guess. Well, it gives me great honor to introduce our 2 next guests. And the first one, all the way from Roswell, Georgia, Jason Brown. And Jason, this kind of seems like 2 different things, but Roger is here. Okay. Roger has Under the Bridge Ministry, and you are a financial guy.
Right.
You went to school without any money.
No money.
How did you do that?
Well, I had to do it all on my own. You know, I ended up going to school. I got 2 debt-free degrees. I got a bachelor's degree and then went back to school about 10, 15 years later, went back and got my master's just recently. Graduated in 2018, completely debt-free. There's lots of different ways I've done it. Of course, I've written the book about it, but there's just, there's so many ways now that you can get an education without debt. And that's kind of the opposite of what our society and culture is going to tell us. Our society and culture is going to tell you the only way that you can go to school today is to take out loans. We have 70% of all college students leave school with debt. And
it takes them forever to pay it back.
So the title of my book is It Is Possible, which is contrary to what the media and our society tell you. They tell you it's not possible. But there's so many ways to go to school without debt. Obviously, I worked a part-time job. I earned income. I got scholarship money. I actually worked for now the big trend now that we're seeing is employers and companies are offering tuition reimbursement programs. So you can work for a company, the company that I'm at now, they reimburse me for all my college tuition just because I'm an employee there, and they want to help me. They want you to do better in your job because it's going to help the company. So, and before that, I actually worked for the university. I went to Kennesaw State University, which is just north of Atlanta, Georgia. And as an employee at the university, they also will pay for your tuition. And of course, I got some scholarship money. I applied for some small scholarships that helped pay for books. And I remember when I was an undergrad, I actually worked at Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A has a tremendous scholarship program. I got scholarship money from them. And then at the time, I wanted to work in sports and athletics, so I actually was just a volunteer student assistant in the athletic department. Now, they couldn't pay me anything because they didn't have a budget to pay me, but they put me on scholarship. So I got my junior year, they put me on a book scholarship that paid for all my books. And then I came back and worked for them my senior year, and they put me on a full scholarship my senior year. My whole senior year of college was paid for by the athletic department just because, I volunteered to help them out. So there's lots of different ways to get your school paid for.
That volunteering, people don't understand, but God sees it.
Right.
And He always works things out.
Exactly.
Do you know, when I went on ABC, I was on ABC 15 years before I walked out of it. And I did it because I volunteered.
Right.
I volunteered, and they taught me television. Now, a lot of times you think, volunteer, it takes my time, blah, blah, blah.
And you're not getting paid.
And you're not getting paid. Yes, you are. You're getting a whole education. I got a whole television education.
You're getting real-world, valuable experience that your peers aren't getting.
Right.
You're getting a foot in the door. And so what's so valuable at the volunteering experience is that, guess what? When the job opens up, you're the first one to find out about it because
Yeah.
you're already in there. You're
Yeah.
already in the door. Like, so you're going to be the
And
first
they
one
know
to
your
find
work
out.
habits.
And you're there. You're already in front of all the directors
Yeah.
and the managers, and they know that you're serious because you're working for free.
Yeah.
And they're going to offer you the job because they know that you have paid your dues to get it.
That's how we hired here. Everybody, almost, I think everybody that's been here has volunteered.
That's the way.
Almost.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah. And once you volunteer, we can see your work habits. Do you cheat on your time, even though it's volunteer? Are you half here or are you all here?
Right.
I mean, it's all important. And you're being watched. You will be watched. And so I love volunteering because look what God does.
Yep, he opens the door
He
for
opens
you. He'll
doors.
open the door for you. Yes, ma'am. That is so true.
Yeah.
So
Who
true.
would believe I have a Christian station? We walked with a wooden cross for 8 years, and I came out of ABC, and I said, Lord, I want a station so that we can promote the gospel 24/7. And this opened up for us, and then I didn't want it. I didn't. And then Lord said, this is what I have for you. You need to do it. And we did. And look what God has done. Came with less than $100 and believed him. But it happens. That's
true.
like your schooling. You got to
Yep.
get this book.
You have to. Yeah, I mean, so there's so many ways now. Like, there's so many ways to get valuable higher education, develop job skills, develop knowledge, than going to the traditional college route. Because the traditional college route is what's getting people into so much trouble with the student loan debt. And what's happening is people aren't graduating in 4 years. Most people take 5, 6, 7 years to graduate to get a 4-year degree. So guess what? That costs more money to be in school
Yeah.
longer. So there's a whole chapter in my book called Alternatives to the Traditional College Education. And there's trade school, there's technical school. We talked about volunteering. There's community school. So many people come to me and say, Jason, if I would have just gone to community school first and got my associate degree,
Yeah.
a 2-year associate degree, I would have cut half my student loan debt in half.
Do you
Just
know-
by making that one decision.
Angela, by doing good grades, was one of the ones chosen, and I think the same with Shaylin.
Okay.
We're one of the ones chosen for higher education. In other words, they go to, well, she's finished in 10th grade. She'll have finished all her high school.
Tremendous.
And she's doing 2 years of college. She'll graduate, both of them, with a high school and a college degree.
That sounds like I was going to bring this up, the dual enrollment program. Now,
is.
this is different from state to state, and a lot of people don't know about this. I recently discovered, so in Georgia, I'll just speak what they do now. It's different in each state, so you can check each state has. But in Georgia, what happens is you go to high school, and it's similar to what you're saying. You graduate early, you graduate a semester early or so, and then you can start going to college classes at night, and then what happens is you save a year of college,
Yeah.
and you also have it paid for by the state. So I actually
Yeah.
met a young student who was 17 years old, and I said, hey, what are you doing? He was actually in one of my college classes. I said, what are you doing here? You're 17. He says, oh, I'm in the dual enrollment program. And I said, what's that? He says, well, I go to school, and I've already graduated. I graduated a semester early. And then I come here, Kennesaw State. I take some classes here. He says, he's going to go to Alabama. He says, when I start in Alabama in the fall, I'm actually going to start as a sophomore. And I'm going to have my whole first year paid for by the state, books, everything. I said, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So he's starting a year ahead. He's saving a year, and he's saving a year of money, time and money. It's a tremendous program.
Well, it's like with Angela, she'll graduate from high school with 2 years with an
That's
AA
brilliant,
degree.
brilliant.
So
if you can do that, that's a tremendous way
It's
to
a big
save time
task.
and money.
Yeah, I said
Absolutely.
to her, I said, you could work on the front desk today. And she says, I got homework. And she has tons of homework, but she does it, taking calculus in 10th grade.
It's a sacrifice, but it pays off.
Pays off in the end.
It pays
Yeah.
off. It really does.
Yeah.
And that's very admirable for her
Yeah.
to do that. And those
and
are the
then
stories.
get scholarships, too.
Right. And those are the stories I try to tell others. I was like, hey, there's all these opportunities out there for you to not have to go into debt. you know, even Dave Ramsey, all these personal finance groups, they'll tell you there's hundreds of millions of dollars in scholarships and grants out there that go unused every year. And why is that? Is that because people don't know about it? Are they intimidated to apply for the scholarships? Or is it just like, you know, a lack of awareness? I don't know, but the money is there. The money's out there. And you just have to do your research, do your due diligence, and go for it, and get it paid for.
And this book will absolutely help you figure that out, how to do that. Roger, I brought you up because you work with the homeless. But what if a homeless person would get an education? They wouldn't be homeless very long, would they?
No, they wouldn't.
And they can do it this way. They don't have to pay for it.
Yeah. They just don't have access to it, I don't think. I don't think it's the information is out there for them to even grab hold of.
It is
So,
now.
yeah.
You tell them about this book because it's possible. It's how much do you want? You can do, I keep praying over the kids when they go to school. You can do all things through Christ who gives you strength. And it's a decision. Sometimes we make bad decisions. We'll change them.
Right.
Make a higher education decision. Because when you have an education, you can do a lot of things. Look at you.
Right, right. And the big problem right now is in our society and culture is that our young students, the only option that they're being given is the debt. And I actually interviewed a girl for my book, and she said when she went into her freshman orientation at her university, they took her into the room and said, they set her down at the table and said, these are your three options. Option A, option B, option C. And all three options were debt. That was the only choice she had. And she said, Jason, if it weren't for the fact that my dad was there with me and he grabbed me by the arm and he took me out of the room, she said, I would have just signed one of those papers and I would have been in all this debt. Yeah. I didn't even know what I was signing because you're 17, 18 years old. You think that these people are here to help you. It's not necessarily true. They're trying to get you to sign up for the debt so they can just get another enrollment in. But the key is, read my book, do your research, go online, meet with your counselors, meet with your academic counselors. There's scholarship counselors. Every school has a scholarship office. Go into that scholarship office and become friends with that scholarship counselor, and that's their job. Their job is to help you get scholarship money so you can pay for school, so you don't have to go into debt.
Well, debt for college is usually how much a year?
The average student right now that leaves college with debt, it has somewhere around $30,000 of debt.
30,000.
30,000 is the average right now.
Now, Chris, when he left, had over 100,000.
That's significant.
Was SCAD.
Yeah, that's significant. That's a tough hole to dig out of.
It is.
It doesn't really matter how much you're making. If you come out of school with a six-figure debt, it's going to take a long time to pay that off. And the problem is, the reason why that people are struggling right now with the student loan debt crisis to pay it off is because of the interest rates. They're getting trapped by all these interest rates, and they're paying $1,000. I had a friend my friend that wrote the foreword for the book. He was paying $2,200 a month. He said, Jason, that's like buying a $500,000 house, and that's what he's paying for his student loan debt, a monthly. I was like, how do you do it? He says, nobody can do that. It's crazy. So
and
the key
just keeps adding up.
Right, and it snowballs. It snowballs.
Yeah.
And the key is you don't want to put yourself in that situation.
I know somebody who has not paid on their bill, and they're up to 50,000.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you'll hear these stories in the news of say, I graduated from college in 1990 with $10,000 of student loan debt. And they didn't think, well, that wasn't really that much money. But then if you don't pay on it, guess what? That interest. And now here they owe, $80,000 on it. But that's the problem. That's what gets people in trouble.
Yeah, better to pay that off. Go borrow another one and get that one paid off and get a lower.
Right, you can do that. You
something.
can pay it off right away. And sometimes what will happen is, right after you graduate, they might give you a 6-month grace period where the interest, it's zero interest, and then the interest will kick in after 6 months or a year. That's when you want to pay it.
Yes.
When you don't have that interest, accruing. And then, people will tell, they'll say, oh, it's okay, I can pay it later, when I'm making more money. But then the problem is that interest is just accruing.
And up.
So that's what people really get themselves into trouble.
Well, we need a new roof on here.
Okay.
But we still have a debt that was given with no interest
Okay.
to buy the building.
Okay.
It was given no interest payback time, but for me to go and put money towards a roof, which we need, we also have, I don't have it here, but on the front we want to put security doors on.
Okay.
Security doors are $10,000.
Wow.
And so we do not borrow here.
Right.
We have made it a point since we opened this building, we will not borrow and we'll believe God for it. And has he always come through?
Absolutely.
Yep.
You've seen him.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
The borrower is slave to the lender.
That's the quote. That's the Bible verse that my books are based on, right there.
That's just the truth.
And that is so true. That's so true. And that's what you said. That's how I went through college. Was when I was an undergrad. I'm so old. We were on the quarter system back then, and I was in the mid '90s. I was going through undergrad, but
So young.
so many quarters. I didn't go full time because I couldn't afford it. So I was going part time. A lot of times I would just take 1 or 2 classes at a time, and because that's all I could afford, because I wasn't going to go into debt. Now my undergrad, it did take me 5.5 years to complete it, but graduated debt free. So that was kind of the trade-off. Took me a little bit longer, but I kind of, I pay as you go. Right. I was working 3 part-time jobs. I was working 2 campus jobs, which was convenient, and then I worked at a retail job at the mall right across the street. So I just, whatever I could afford, I went to school full time, and then I would take 1 class over the summer, so I was going to school full time, going to summer school, and that's just how I did it. And I was taught, if you can't afford it, you don't do it, you don't buy it, so you don't go into debt. So that's just how I was always raised. My parents instilled me with those financial values, and that's the kind of the theme of the book. Is like there's so many ways to pay for college that you don't have to go into debt.
So can I ask a question?
Yes,
So these students, they get accustomed to debt the day they walk into school.
Right.
So they're so accustomed to debt, they get a credit card. The next thing you know, their lifestyle is debt.
That's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem. There's so many forces working against us in our culture. Is what people forget is debt. Debt is big business in our country.
Yeah.
It's big business in America, and right now the government owns the student loan debt industry. They own the student loan industry for the most part. I mean, you can still go out and get a private loan for school, but you're going to pay higher interest rates. So right now, the government owns this student loan industry, right? So guess what? People think their loans are going to get forgiven and stuff, and that's just simply not going to happen, because you need to look and see this is a massive revenue source for our government. They're making $100 billion a year. In 1 year, $100 billion of loans are being made to
That's
students.
ridiculous.
It's completely insanity. It's complete insanity. But that's the thing that I try to. Hey, you do not want to be a part of this.
That's thievery.
It's
It is
really
demonic.
it's really they call it the student loan debt crisis. I call it the student loan debt scam, because our young students, they're being scammed. They're being told, take out the debt. You're gonna get a degree. You're gonna get a good high-paying job, and most of the time that's not true, because 40% of all college attendees drop out. Our country has a 40% college dropout rate, which is the highest of all developed countries in the world. The United States has the highest college dropout rate in the world, 40%. So that means only 60% of students that are starting college actually get a degree. So the people that are in the biggest trouble with the debt are the ones that don't have the degree and they have the debt.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that are struggling. Those are the ones that are, working the minimum wage jobs. It's, they're working at Starbucks or McDonald's, and they're like, hey, I'm stuck. I've got this debt. I don't have a degree. So those are the people that are really hurting right now.
Let me tell you, my son Steve, when he was brilliant, and he had 2 colleges accept him, ORU and Evangel. And so I said, we had no money. I just lost everything. I had no money. So I said, Steve, by faith, we're going to do this. So we took any money that he had already made, and I took him and Tamara. Tamara was going to go to Bible school, so I took them to school, dropped Tamara off, got her into her school with the money Steve had.
Okay.
And then we went to the other went to ORU, but in those days I didn't know enough about how I could get him in.
Right.
And so we left there because he wanted to be at ORU. And Tamara was at Kenneth Hagin, so they were right together. And it didn't happen. So then I took over to Evangel, and they turned us down because we didn't have money. Of course, they have
Right.
to. But I didn't know about scholarships and all those
Right.
things in those days.
Right.
So we came home, and we were praying on the way home. And I said, God, I trusted you for this. I thought this would happen because I told Steve, don't worry. We packed up his drums, everything. And we were just crying, both of us. And God had another plan.
Okay.
Steve got a job right away. He started as a stock boy, and now he is district manager for Walgreens. Why? Because he put himself to the effort.
Right.
And he got his college degree while doing that, and it didn't cost him. No debt.
It worked out. See,
worked
that
out.
God had a different plan there. That's for sure.
It worked out.
A better plan, it sounds like.
Yeah, because
No
I wanted to
debt.
go in debt.
Right. No debt.
And he had no debt, and God worked it out. My sons
a
both
good
got
story.
their degrees. No, my one went to school, but then he went and finished it on his own. Both of them did. So I'm proud of them.
That's a great story.
Yeah, for finishing it and not having any debt, working their way through and working their way from the very bottom to the top.
Right.
Isn't that good?
That's a great story.
So both of them are with Walgreens. One is community manager, the other one is district manager. So praise God.
Very good.
Well, we're going to take a break. We're going to go to Cindy Jones. She's going to sing for us, and we'll come back and we'll talk more with Roger. And one way, of course, is Jason Brown's book. It's a love gift of $15. It's possible to graduate without
Debt.
money. You know, you can do it, not get in debt. How I earned 2 debt-free degrees, and how you can too. You get your master's, right?
Masters and bachelors.
And bachelor's.
Debt-free.
Debt-free.
I'm living proof that it can be done.
So it can help with the homeless.
It can help. I mean, there's actually lots of ways now, because we live in such a digital society now with the internet. There's so many ways now to get education, to get knowledge, to get, you know, I've heard stories of homeless people going into the libraries and just getting on the internet and teaching themselves things, because that's all free, right?
Right.
You go to the library, you can go to different places, and you can teach it. You know, you go on YouTube. There's so many YouTube video tutorials. If you want to learn something specific, like if you know what you're interested in, you can go on the internet and you can learn stuff. But a lot of times there's so much free content out there now too. So that's something that I've heard stories of the homeless taking advantage of. Is
Right.
there's so much free content out there. And that will give them,
And they
like,
have nothing but time.
Right. That will give them a knowledge set or a skill set that could help them get, you know, some employment.
And I see
get
a lot
back
of
on their
them
feet.
around the library
Yeah.
during the day.
And we have this book here. And this is, if you want to get a degree, you can do it because he did it.
That's
Amen.
right. That's right.
Right, Jason?
That's right. If I can do it, anybody can do it, right? Yeah. So it's extremely helpful book. It really is a book designed to give people hope and encouragement and inspiration that you can actually earn a higher education degree without
Money.
walking away with debt. You can walk across that stage and be handed a diploma, not bills for debt. That's
it.
the goal.
That's the goal. And you can do it. So, and the other thing is, if you take, and you're in school right now, you happen to be listening to this, you're in high school, do your best. Quit
Yeah.
looking at everything else that's around. Do your best. We look at Angela, Shaylin, those two girls, what they do when they get out of school, the first thing they do is do their homework. Homework
great.
is important. And they do it, they get it done, and those 2 girls are going to see what happens with them. I'm excited what's going to happen with them. Well, we're going to go to Cindy. She's going to sing for you, and then we'll be back with a lot more. Hey, go to your phone and get this book. What are you waiting for? A love gift of $15, and you may know somebody. I want to get one for Roger, because there are people who need to know how to get out of debt. And Roger could help so many people with this book. You can do it. We'll be right back. Here we have this book, Education Should Not Be a Death Sentence.
That's right.
And it's possible. You got 2 degrees, debt-free. And go ahead.
It's been, yeah, like he's saying, I've been very blessed and fortunate to earn 2 debt-free degrees, but I also, like you said, I also worked hard and, you know, did the right things. But that's the whole reason why I wanted to write the book, was to share my story. And there's actually interviews with other people in the book who have also earned debt-free degrees. So it's not just about me. There's other people share their journeys, how they did it. There's lots of different ways to do it. There's not one way to do it. There's lots of ways to do it. And there's so much money and resources out there to help you do it.
Yeah.
And like you guys were saying, it's just really a lack of awareness.
That's it.
And people don't know, like you were saying, well, I didn't know I could apply for scholarships or grants or, you know, tuition reimbursement programs that are out there now. And you just don't know because you don't really know the right questions to ask or the right person to connect with. So these are all the reasons why I wanted to write the book, to help others.
Well, this book will help you. I wish I had this book when my kids graduated from high school. But so now you have it. You have the chance to have this book. It's only $15, and I would run to my phone and get this book because it talks about all the different things you can do. And my own case, I got a degree in television by what? Volunteering. You can volunteer your way. I had 3 shows a week on ABC. How big is that?
It's huge. I mean,
you know, and it's just because I was diligent to go and learn. I remember my son would go with me and he'd volunteer on the cameras. At ABC, they let him do it.
That's invaluable experience. Even if he doesn't end up doing that for a career, that looks so good on a resume. Like, hey, I was a cameraman for ABC, and I learned all these technical skills, and those will translate to other jobs.
Other things, sure. So learn to volunteer, and I'm telling you, your needs, it's amazing what God will do if you volunteer with a pure heart. We'll be right back. We're going to Cindy, and we'll be back. All right, Cindy, thank you so much. How beautiful. Well, any last words? This is Jason Brown, wrote this book, and I hear people say, I got to have this book because I want to know how. Your wife just came up and said your granddaughter is going to go to college. She needs to know how to do it debt-free without borrowing.
That's right.
So she's getting this book.
I totally believe she will. She's a smart girl.
Yeah. And they can get scholarships, too. Go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah, so really some final words of advice, besides getting my book and reading my book, but when some of my regrets, right? Even though I did it debt-free, there's still regrets, because one of the regrets is I never connected with my high school guidance counselor. That's the first thing you want to do. When you're in high school, go meet with your guidance counselor. Your guidance counselor is there to help you.
To guide you.
To guide you, right? They're going to help you. Hey, this is how you apply for scholarships. These are some, they're going to help you with college choices, help you with the SATs, all those tests that you have to take. That is so important. That's a regret of mine. I don't think I've ever stepped foot into my guidance counselor's office. And then once you get into college, go find the scholarship office. Every college has scholarship advisors, whatever their different names, but there's a scholarship office. That there's people that their full-time job is to help you get scholarships. So when you're a freshman, the first thing when you step onto campus as a freshman, the first thing you need to do is, hey, give me the map. Where's the still? And another myth is you can still apply for scholarships every year that you're in college. You can apply for scholarships when you're a junior in college, so you can get a scholarship money when you're a senior. That's what I did. And see, people I don't think realize that. They think, well, you know, I missed out on the scholarship. Well, you're a freshman. Apply again. Apply. There's scholarships that I got that I applied for and I got denied or rejected. And guess what? I applied for them again the next year and I got it. So just be persistent. Persistence is so important with the scholarships. And then the other thing I would say is just get with a career coach. Career coaches are out there. They're there to help you as well with college and all that stuff. So that's a valuable resource too that I never really took advantage of. So those are some of the things that I would advise people to really look into, because those people are there to help you.
Yes, it's wonderful. And this book will help you too. $15 love gift. Get the